Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
And Michael, take it away.
Hey everybody, nice to see everybody this evening. My name is Mike. I can see a lot of familiar faces already from the face I can see here on the screen. I'm a teacher and educator at Montclair State University and Bergen Community College. I've had the honor of Mike having asked me to come and say some words this evening for the opening 5 minutes here, and been thinking about it a lot over the last few days and wrote something down, and so I'd like to share that this evening with everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Kind of opens up here with our friend Carl Sagan by basically saying, look again at that dot. That's here, that's home, that's us. That's educators and that's students. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who has ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, disciplines of schools of learning that include environmental sciences, ecology, chemistry, physics, and biology, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every supreme leader, every superstar, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. I'm here, you're here, we're here on that pale blue dot. You with all of your 7,000 trillion atoms and 100 billion some odd neurons. Also here are the plants, trees, bugs, birds, rocks, others of the mammalian persuasion, rivers, lakes, and oceans, all of which are participating in a dynamically ecological interdependent dance. Amazingly, the pale blue dot is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour around a star at 67,000 miles per hour within a galaxy moving at 1.3 million miles per hour. To this, all I can humbly say is welcome everyone to what we call life in the linear mark time of 2021. Wow, what a year 2020 was. Our world as we have known and know it continues to adapt, change, and remind us of impermanence and uncertainty, as it has done for roughly 4.543 billion years. 2020 was marked by ups, downs, lefts, rights, sufferings, joys, successes, and failures. A pandemic is ripping through our society on local and global scales. Our society has been wrought with collapsing social contracts, constructs, a failed leadership that has fundamentally harmed and altered the way we live and learn and do life. Meanwhile, the pale blue dot is constantly signaling warning, and its other than human inhabitants a clarion call for help. A call for help that roars with quiet desperation in the background of anthropocentric human industry. Meteorological, biological, physical, geological, and oceanic forces in the forms of hurricanes, fires, tornadoes, and climate change serve as stark reminders. As I read aloud the aforementioned statements and hear myself speak them, feelings of futility arise. But then, in that moment, I'm reminded of Rainer Maria Rilke when he declared, "Here is the home in the time of the tellable. Speak out and testify. This is the time when the things we love are dying and the things we do not love are rushing to replace them. Shadows cast by shadows. Things willingly restrained by temporary confines, but ready to spew forth as outer change of form decrees. Between its hammer blows, the heart survives, as does between the teeth, the tongue, in spite of all, the fount of praise." In the midst of great suffering, loss, chaos, and anarchy that encapsulated the year 2020, many people have been and continue to rise to the challenges at hand as we move into 2021. All of you as educators, students, organizers, and advocates for the sciences and humanities are taking those hammer blows and turning teaching from the heart with tooth and tongue. You've done more in 2020 than you may even know or be aware of, in making a difference in the lives of many of the living beings on this pale blue dot. When we're in the throes of difficult times and spaces, it can be hard to remember to be gentle on yourself and others, and most of all, in remembering gratitude and thankfulness. Doubt floods in when difficulty ensues. Doubt leads to futility, resignation, apathy, no care, and lack of purpose. Remembering purpose in times of difficulty finds propping up when you remember to say thank you. Thank you for all that is life and everyone living as we support one another amidst the vastness of it all. The act of thankfulness represents an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude redirects human self-centeredness towards openness, kindness, respect, altruism, and care, all of which constitute the efforts of educators eager to teach and students hungry to learn. It is in this shared process of learning that, like a flower whose seed and roots receives water and then proceeds to bloom, so too does the human mind and spirit. In the spirit and recognition of your efforts in trying times, I'd like to offer a few lines from a poem that I share with my students by Senri Yena. Senri Yena is a person who survived Hiroshima at one point in time. And this is what this person had to say. It's always been a big inspiration for me. Thanks to lamenting over the pain in the world, I am able to become laughter when my life is happy. Due to being struck and trampled upon and biting my lips to control my temper, I fully realize how precious it is to be born, even if I am intentionally tired of an ugly world. I don't care so much about anything else except love and sincerity, the sun, and a little amount of rain from time to time. If I have a healthy body and a little piece of bread, I want to walk with a smile and in great spirits. I'll do my best to work without complaining about anything at all. I always consider things by putting myself in another's place without flinching, no matter how hard and heart-rending it is to live. In the morning, the sun rises, I greet it. I'll do my best to live today. In the evening, the sun sets. Staring at the evening glow, I want to sit still. Within silver tears, like pearls and laughter like the sun, let's keep walking ahead each day. Certainly, someday, as I look back over my past, I will quietly see my life with a smile. In closing, for a second here, I'd like to ask everyone that's here right now to raise your right hand over the top of your head and raise it as high as you possibly can. Stretch it all the way out. Now take your right hand and drop it back behind your left shoulder, just like that. Let it sit there for 1 second. Now give yourself a pat right there, like that. Just pat right over that shoulder. Pat yourself on the back a couple of times and give yourself kudos and thanks for the life you're living, the work you're doing, and the world you're seeking to prop up in uncertain times. Remember to thank the cosmos, the pale blue dot, or any creative forces you may believe in for the air you breathe, the water you drink, the earth under your feet, and the fire, that star which supplies light and heat. Life is an amazing opportunity, and as teachers, students, academics, researchers, organizers, and caretakers alike, seize this day, this moment, and this brief spark of life with our linear marked time. Remember to thank yourself, everyone, and everything around you when you get out of bed, step out your door, and get humbly smacked in the face by life. That smack is actually a very beautiful thing. Our momentary lives are like a flash of lightning in the darkened night. That smack in the face is life letting you know that in this moment you have a pulse and are indeed alive. The most important question for living then becomes, what are you going to do now? So with that said, thank you everyone for all the work you're doing and for sharing in this moment of existence with me. And as the 2021 ANJEE conference gets underway, I wish you all good things for the upcoming seasons of learning about what it means to be who we are as we continue to learn how to let life live us. So thank you, everybody.
And Michael, thank you for those words. Thank you for being a friend to ANJEE. And of course, just thank you for being a friend in general. Welcome, everyone. I'm Mike Chodroff. And after 4 years, this will be my final conference serving as co-president of ANJEE.
And I am Kelly Wenzel. Hello. And this is my first year serving as co-president of ANJEE.
And in ANJEE's 36-year history,
there's always been a peaceful transition of power.
And that's probably because ANJEE doesn't run on antiquated ideas of power.
There is an alternative energy that runs the Alliance for New Jersey Environmental Education.
ANJEE operates on cooperation and trust and wonder and passion.
And ANJEE is guided by science.
We believe that it is an honor and a privilege to volunteer for this organization.
Because ANJEE is for the environmental educators, by the environmental educators, and of the environmental educators.
And we hope that over the next 2 weeks of our conference, ANJEE is able to provide you with new ideas, new knowledge, and new connections.
It has been a challenging year, to say the least. After a successful 35th annual in-person conference last January, ANJEE was on a roll.
Our annual retreat at Duke Farms was on March 7th and 8th, where we had an all-day workshop exploring environmental racial justice.
We also had the foresight to give elbow bumps that weekend as more news about the spread of COVID-19 in New Jersey was being shared.
And then, well, 2020, as we know, it happened.
New Jersey was locked down, schools were closed, workplaces closed, parks closed. Friends and members of our alliance were all deeply affected.
But Anjee pivoted. We held Zoom forums. We created a remote EE hub on our website. And then the racial injustices that have always plagued our nation came to the forefront of our hearts and minds with the unjust murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many others.
Anjee declared that Black Lives Matter, and we would take the time to really examine our organization to make sure we were more action and just not intention. And we hope you join us next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for our Anjee night to help us form our anti-racist work group.
And as conferences and events were getting canceled, Anjee worked with our partners at Duke Farms to provide an in-person experience for our 4th annual autumn conference in September. And New Jersey's Clean Energy program provided a sponsorship for us to film the sessions and get them up on Anjee's new YouTube channel.
And because environmental education programs got hit particularly hard this past year, and many schools were not able to provide educators with professional development opportunities, we wanted to make sure that any barriers for individuals to participate in this conference would be removed.
So, with the generosity of a lot of sponsors, we were able to provide Anjee members and friends with its first virtual and first free conference ever. We would like to take a moment to acknowledge them and thank them. So as you can see, our overall conference sponsors, PSEG, New Jersey Natural Gas, and a friend of science and environmental education, a anonymous donor. Our keynote speakers will be sponsored by New Jersey Clean Energy Program. The Excellence in EE Award Ceremony, which will finish our conference this year, is sponsored by BASF. Movie night sponsor is the Environmental Education Fund. Our film festival will be sponsored by Common Interests. One of the happy hours on Friday night will be sponsored by the College of New Jersey and their environmental program. And then our second one will be EnviroClean janitorial and maintenance services. So thank you so much to all of them who reached out and opened up so that we can provide this for everybody this year for free.
As most of you know, we usually hold a live auction at our annual winter conference. Since we couldn't be in person, we decided to hold our auction online. The bidding is done through Bidding for Good. And if you don't have an account or have never done Bidding for Good, it's very easy. You just make an account, takes a couple minutes, and then off you go to bid on these wonderful items. So all the funds raised go directly back to Anjee, where we can offer scholarships for future conferences and other things. And a shout out to David Alexander and Lauren Theis for arranging all of the wonderful donations that you'll see in that auction.
As part of this year's conference, many of Anjee's Alliance friends and members offered to host in-person field experiences or networking walks at their outdoor centers or other designated locations. These experiences will follow all COVID guidelines and offer a safe opportunity to get together with like-minded individuals outdoors. There are 15 offerings over the course of the next 2 Saturdays. Tomorrow, I know we're going to have to close down this Saturday, so the host can prepare. So please sign up for any if you have not. 100%, just so you know, 100% of the money that Anjee collects for these events, we are going to donate right back to these organizations. So please help to support our alliance and do yourself a favor and get outside for an hour or so.
As Mike mentioned earlier, when Anjee adapted to the virtual platform, we began to do monthly Zoom forums. So topics included checking in with formal and non-formal educators to offer tips, advice, and technology suggestions for temporarily switching to digital education, and ideas for offering summer camps and how to run them in accordance with COVID safety protocols. So starting this February, we'll begin having Zoom forums twice a month, and we're going to be looking for for proposals from anyone who would like to host a workshop, put together a panel, or present any EE or sustainability topic. So if you're interested, go to the webpage under resources, and under Zoom forums page, you'll find a Google form there for you to submit your ideas.
Each year, we recognize members of our own community, the environmental education community, that have died in the previous year. However, this year it seems as if the overwhelming majority of us have lost friends, family, role models, colleagues, and more. So I'd like actually to take a few moments of silence. And I know tonight our incoming president is also having memorials around the country to acknowledge all those that have passed, with our deepest condolences to everyone that has dealt with loss in the past year.
Okay, so thank you. So we also have a tradition here at ANJEE conferences that usually gets you up on your feet, but we're going to change it up a bit this year because we're kind of in our desks. Normally we'd ask you to stand up based on how many conferences you've attended, but this year we'll ask you while muted, so no shouting, Hugh, I hear you. Type in chat or raise your hand, or put your little wavy hand icon thingy up when we call the number of conferences you have attended. So Mike, you're gonna unshare the screen. So if you have your camera on, that would be excellent. And then we can see all of your raised hands. And we've got 4 pages of folks, so we might have to scroll a little bit, Mike. Okay.
And make sure you're in gallery view so you can see everybody.
Yep. So the most important group here is, if you have attended no conferences yet, this is your first conference. Raise your hand if this is your first conference. I see a few. Excellent.
One of them is my mother, so.
Hi, Mrs. Chodroff. Awesome. All right. Thank you and welcome. We hope you have a wonderful first conference. 2 to 5 conferences. Who's attended 2 to 5? Put your paws in the air. Our own director, Beth Stolting. Robin Drogan, I see you. Who else? Who else are we scrolling through? Quite a few people. Awesome. How about 6 to 10 conferences? All right, there's Ben. Who else? Aaron. Couple people. Let's see who else. Keep your mitts up. All right. Awesome. Welcome back. What are we up to? 11 to 20 conferences. That's me. I'm in that category with Mike, Monica. Kirsten says 11. Laura McCluskey. Excellent. All right. 21 to 30 conferences. Oh, there's Pat with her mug. Rick Lear. Who else have we got up there? I know Dale's on here somewhere. She might be in that group, or she might be in the next one. Oh, Michelle Wiesner, I see you. All right, how about 31 to 35 conferences? Who's in that one?
Is Liz here?
Liz might be on. Diane.
Diane.
There's Diane.
Maybe.
Liz says maybe. Awesome.
Okay.
And all 36? That might just be Tanya. Oh, I don't know if she's on. So regardless of how many conferences you've attended, or if you can't remember, welcome, and we're so glad to have everyone here. And there's 87 people on right now. That's awesome.
All right, so before we go back to the slideshow, we want to continue with volunteer recognitions. We also want to take a moment to recognize everyone who has played a role in getting this organization to where we are today. So if you're presently a board member, if you've ever served on the ANJEE board, the advisory board, or a committee, wave your hands, hit your hand up icon.
Jazz hands.
No. All the people that have helped us build this
Awesome.
amazing organization.
Grace Ann is raising her hand on chat.
And then, of course, if you were part of this year's conference committee, how about a big thumbs up? And, you know, everybody could do the, okay.
So there are a few individual ANJEE volunteers that we would like to acknowledge. So every 5 years of service you give to ANJEE, no matter how many minutes, hours, or days you offer in a year, we like to acknowledge your service. So each volunteer will receive a starfish pin with their years of service on it, as Mike is illustrating there. Why the starfish, you ask? Starfishes are important members of the marine environment, and they're a keystone species. If you don't know what a keystone species is, that is an animal that preys, it's like at the top of the food chain, has no natural predators, and if they're removed from the environment, their prey increases in number and drive out other species. So, like the starfish, EE practitioners are essential to the education ecosystem. So, for 5 years of volunteering on the conference committee, exhibits, co-chair and chair, advisory council, and as a board member, our very own Erin Rounds.
Erin, if you're there, you want to unmute for a quick second and say hello so we can see you?
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Right.
Happy to serve.
And with 10 years of service, having been on the advisory council, helping to run our silent auction, has done our author showcase, and was a regional chair, David Alexander.
Okay. Also, with 10 years as president, awards chair, conference committee vice president, Ms. Pat Heaney.
And we have a calculation. We haven't gotten the exact number, but somewhere between 11 and 12 years of service. But because of bookkeeping mistakes, we've never given a pin to this individual, who served on our advisory council, our conference committee, our awards chair, was our board secretary, and is now my co-president, Ms. Kelly Wenzel.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think it's bookkeeping. I think it's a lack of me turning in my paperwork, honestly. And for 20 years, this individual just keeps showing up. 2 times president, conference committee regular, and advocacy chair, our own Hugh Carolla and his kitty cat.
Yes, this is Bo. Thank you all. Thank you all, Kelly and Mike and everybody, whether this is your first conference or one of many. So thank you all for being here and doing what you all do. So you guys rock, every single one of you.
Thank you, Hugh, you as well. And with 21 years of volunteering with ANJEE, but we also forgot to acknowledge him last year, a former president, was on the advisory council, was our webmaster, was a director of communications, and our conference photographer and tech support, Mark Rogoff.
There's also a special recognition we like to give, which is our oak tree pin. So this is a pin we give to someone who has kept us strong over the past year. The individual, a former president, retired from the board, but not from our organization. When you see those amazing posts on Facebook, keeping you engaged and connected, it's because Tanya Solikowski is busy making sure we all know what's going on with EE in New Jersey. So Tanya, thanks for being our oak tree.
And finally, on occasion, we often give a Rookie of the Year award. And this goes to someone who has jumped into the ANJEE pond with 2 feet and screaming yippee. So just when you thought retirement would be quiet, our Rookie of the Year went from receiving last year's Patricia F. Kane Lifetime Achievement Award to joining our board and organizing all of the amazing workshops for this year's conference. Laura McCluskey, thank you so much for your enthusiasm and dedication.
Oh, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. And I'm very proud of the conference that we made. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And before we go on, I do want to say, although not a volunteer, I do want to acknowledge one more really essential person who we were so fortunate enough to hire a year and a half ago, is ANJEE's first ever employee. Beth Stolting, our Director of Operations and Development, who has really made an impact on our organization. So thank you, Beth, so much.
Hi, everybody. So glad you're all here.
All right. So thank you to all of our volunteers, and any one of you can be one at any
That's right.
moment.
The pins are really cool.
Okay, let me go back to this.
So, as you can see, our organization, like most others, depends on volunteers. All the opportunities that ANJEE provides is due in part to the effort of volunteers. We encourage you all to connect with us to find out more about what we do and how you can get involved.
So just to make it even easier for you to find out more about ANJEE and the opportunities to volunteer in any capacity, literally give us half an hour, give us a year, whatever you want. We invite you to join next Wednesday, January 27th for ANJEE Night. There you will be able to meet the board and committee chairs who will discuss what types of work get done. Our Rookie of the Year, Laura, will be talking about bringing back ANJEE regional groups for more networking and learning opportunities. And I will be talking about the work we've been doing with diversity and introduce ANJEE's newest initiative, our anti-racist work group. So we just ask that you show up, hear us out, and see if you're interested.
And of course, the easiest way to support ANJEE is to become a member. So thank you all for joining the conference. However, your membership helps us keep going throughout the year. So the conference is separate from membership. We encourage you all, if you have not already done so, to go to our website and sign up as an official member.
And finally, although our indoor annual retreat, usually held in February, March, is on hold for now, we do want you to mark your calendars for our 5th annual outdoor conference at Duke Farms on September 24th. We have already a year of COVID conference under our belts and know we can have one safely and enjoy it. So hopefully it won't be like it was in this past September, but September 24th, mark your calendars.